Please give us a big hand. Now, may I request our former chairman, Paul, to kindly recognize the service to the panelists for the APR Diversity Inclusion Challenge.
Good morning. Oh, gee, last day, and I can tell the good morning is a little slower than it was yesterday. So, good morning. Ah, that's much better. Happy Jota Joti, everybody. If you are not wearing your Jota Joti badge, you better see World Scout Committee member Peter Blatch. My friends, it is a privilege and honour to be able to look and address you this morning regarding the APR Diversity and Inclusion Challenge. Diversity and inclusion is one of the strategic priorities of the World Organisation, WOSM, under Vision 2023. Now, you know that. Over the years, WOSM has made continual effort to ensure that Scouting is inclusive by valuing the diversity of local and national communities. Scouts and young adults in Scouting have been involved in significant projects that are making a significant impact in their local communities and, of course, at the same time, raising Scouting's profile in this area. In support of this strategic priority, the region launched a Diversity and Inclusion Challenge. This is part of the initiative to promote diversity and inclusion in the Great Asia Pacific region. It was funded through the Messengers of Peace Support Fund and it is allowing to be targeting Scouts and young adults in Scouting who are involved in significant projects, who are involved in their local communities and working towards diversity and inclusion. This initiative reinforces Scouting as a movement that is serious, that is value, and that it does value diversity, is inclusive and is open to all. NSOs were requested, as you will know, to promote the challenge to your Scouts and to your Scout groups and to contribute through this to the region's promising practices on diversity and inclusion. 5 projects would be selected through a screening process, and each of those projects would receive funding to support the furtherance of the project to the amount of $3,000 US to allow them to continue or further their work. For this particular project, for the first time, we received a total of 18 applications from 10 National Scout organisations, 2 entries from Scouts Australia, 1 from Bangladesh, 1 from Bhutan, 1 from Fiji, 2 from Hong Kong, 5 from India, 1 from Malaysia, 2 from Mongolia and 2 from the Philippines, 1 from Sri Lanka. And each project was evaluated based on this criteria: diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion is, of course, the key integral part of this challenge. The project should clearly show the diversity that occurs amongst any of all of the individuals or group of people, and that there should exist a variety of cultural and social characteristics within the project. It should also demonstrate inclusion, reflective of equal access to opportunities and resources that embrace differences and offers respect. Impact. This refers to the broader or longer term effects of the project, its relevance, how responsive it is to the needs of the community and the level of community engagement. Scope. This refers to the parameters of the project, the work that needs to be accomplished, how big the project is, the level of implementation and the level of intervention, and so on. Magnitude. This refers to how big the number of beneficiaries for the project are going to be, whether they be Scouts or non-Scouts. Friends, after a lengthy discussion amongst the selection panel composed of myself, my brother Peter Blatch and sister Jemima Nati, I am pleased to announce the results. The first project. The name of the project, Supporting Sustainable Development Goals Project by Christian Open Scouts for the Underprivileged Communities of the Bangladesh Scouts, headed by its project leader, Mr. Sawar Muhammad Shayar. With us, Sir Jaya, please. My friends, to get to this 5 from 18 was a very, very difficult job, because each of the projects in their own right has merit. The second winner, Empowering Fijian Special Needs Students, extending a helping hand to the Fiji Scout Association with its project leader, Mr. Roshil Kumar. Please, yes. Representative from Fiji, please. John, thank you. Number 3, each of the projects, as I've said, is worthy, and the diversity and the difference that exists between them is quite extraordinary. Number 3, Scouting for Tribal Children, a skill training centre by the Bharat Scouts and Guides India, with its project leader, Mr. Bhatyaratan Chand Ajay Kumar Jain. A representative, please, from Bharat Scouts and Guides. Khalid, okay. Number 4, the PEACE, which is an acronym, peace obviously the word, through Scouting, which is Program Enabling Active Citizenship and Environmentalism through Scouting of the Boy Scouts of the Philippines, with its project leader, Mr. Kim Robert C. de Leon. Is he here? Or a representative of BSP, please. Cedric, going to take it on his behalf. And the last winner for 2018 is Smiling Hearts of Little Daughters from the rural state sector of Sri Lanka by the Sri Lanka Scout Association with its project leader, Mr. Kapila Kalyana Pereira. We congratulate all the winners again, and as I said, a very difficult task but a very rewarding one, because what it clearly demonstrates that Scouting is wanting to be and to do something very positive in our communities and Scouting about diversity and inclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul, for recognizing the winners. And let me also recognize the members of the panel. May we call on Peter Blatz, Jemima, and Paul, please. May we request Ambassador Rushdie to please hand over the certificate of recognition.
Okay, let's give all the panelists a big round of applause, please. Now, it's come down to a very important moment, the presentation and discussion of a conference resolution. That's one of the most important reasons why we are here for, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Let me explain the process a little bit. First, we will have a resolution committee to present all the recommendations revised. And then, after the presentation, the floor will be open for discussion. Okay. Okay, let me repeat it again. First, we will have a resolution committee to present all the recommendations revised. Then the floor will be open for discussion. Okay, so may I request the chairman of resolution committee to approach the podium?
Good morning, conference. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the members and advisor of the Resolutions Committee for this conference. Yurimasa from Japan, Rizwan from Pakistan, Tohidul from Bangladesh, and Chulin from Cambodia, and our advisor, the great Ma'am Kirsty Brown from Australia. It is our privilege to present to you the resolutions submitted and proposed by NSOs, duly seconded, and these resolutions are arranged and categorized in major thematic areas. First, Resolution of Thanks. The 26th Asia-Pacific Regional Scout Conference, held on 15 to 20 October 2018 at the Philippine International Convention Center in Manila, Philippines, recognizing the valuable contribution and support of all who participated directly and indirectly to organize and make the conference a success, extends its gratitude and appreciation to the Honorable President of the Republic of the Philippines and Chief Scout of the Boy Scouts of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, for welcoming the participants through his message at the opening ceremony. Attorney Wendell E. Avisado, President of the Boy Scouts of the Philippines and first Vice Chairman of the Asia-Pacific Regional Scout Committee 2015 to 2018, and Chairman of the Host Organizing Committee, for his leadership and guidance in hosting the 26th Asia-Pacific Regional Scout Conference. The different national government agencies and local government units in the Philippines for their generous support for the conference. Department of Interior and Local Government, Department of Education, Department of Tourism, Department of Transportation, Philippine National Police, Manila International Airport Authority, Promotions and Tourism Board, City Government of Manila, City Government of Pasay, City Government of Tagaytay, Philippine International Convention Center. The Asia-Pacific Regional Scout Committee and its Chairman, Paul D. Parkinson, and the 5 outgoing members for their guidance in designing, planning, organizing, and presiding the conference sessions and events. The delegates and observers for actively participating throughout the conference, sharing their practices and experiences during the discussions and presentations, and for sharing the spirit of goodwill and friendship. The organizers and participants of the 9th APR Youth Forum held at Tagaytay International Convention Center in Tagaytay City for making the event a great success. The organizers and participants of the course for leader trainers held at the Baden-Powell International Hotel in Mount Makiling, the training team and staff for their dedicated support and services towards the success of the course. The Asia-Pacific Regional Subcommittees for devoting their time, expertise, and resources in accomplishing the tasks presented to them during the Terranium. The World Scout Committee, headed by Craig Turpie, for his inspiring message that reinforces the vision and unity of World Scouting. The WOSOM Secretary General, Ahmad Alinawi, and the staff and members of the World Scout Bureau's Global Support Center, Europe Support Center, Arab Support Center, and Eurasia Support Center, for their presence, guidance, active participation, and contributions at the various meetings of the conference. The Regional Director, J. Rizal C. Pangilinan, and staff members of the World Scout Bureau, Asia Pacific Support Center, for their hard work, commitment, dedication, and passion in preparing, coordinating, and managing the conference. Our partner organizations and guests, Habitat for Humanity, the King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz International Center for Interreligious and Intercultural Dialogue, Worldwide Fund for Nature, and Duke of Edinburgh International Award, for their active partnership and support to Scouting, and to World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, and International Catholic Committee on Scouting for their active participation. The organizers and participants of the International Commissioners Gathering, APR Palaver Chief Commissioners Meeting, Session on Communications and Partnership, APR Foundation Fellowship Gathering, APR Foundation Fundraising Dinner, Asia Pacific Evergreen Scouts Gathering and ATAS Gathering, and Welcome and Closing Dinners. The Bayanihan Dance Troupe and Sinda of Philippines Performing Arts for showcasing the beauty of Filipino talent and performing arts at the various social gatherings of the conference. Let us proceed to the business resolutions on youth. From the 9th Asia Pacific Regional Scout Youth Forum. Recommend that the conference acknowledge the excellent work undertaken by the 9th Asia Pacific Regional Scout Youth Forum and agree that all 31 recommendations enumerated under conference document number 15 be submitted to the APR Scout Committee for its appropriate action, proposed by Scouts of China, seconded by the Boy Scouts of the Philippines. APR Youth Leadership Training Course, acknowledging that one of the strategic priorities adopted by WOSOM in 2014 states that the youth program should provide non-formal learning environments strengthening the capacity of young people to face the challenges of tomorrow. The conference requests the Asia-Pacific region to support the development of youth leadership across the region by developing, hosting, and providing financial support for our Inter-Region Youth Leadership Training Course, or YLTC. The YLTC should target youth members and young leaders aged between 18 and 30 years old. Each NSO shall nominate at least 2 youth representatives to attend the YLTC. Resources will be provided to each participant to allow each NSO to successfully run its internal leadership program. Additionally, the conference requests the APR to encourage and support its NSOs to facilitate their own national leadership development programs for their youth members aged 18 to 30 years old, proposed the Fiji Scout Association and seconded by Gerakan Pramuka Indonesia. Subcommittee Under 30. Acknowledging Recommendation 3 from the APR Youth Involvement Workshop held in Australia in 2018, which stated, to increase the level of youth involvement in the Asia-Pacific region subcommittees, the workshop recommends that at least 40% of the subcommittee nominees from each NSO should be under the age of 30, and a minimum of 40% of the selected subcommittee members should be under the age of 30. To assist NSOs and APR in reaching these targets, young members should be considered for development and mentoring opportunities, for example, APR workshop. The Finance Subcommittee should undertake a review of funding schemes in other regions to support young people participating at the regional level. The minimum age of attendance at the Regional Scout Youth Forums and Conference be reduced to 15 years of age. Applications for subcommittees should be promoted widely as an open call. Applications are submitted directly to the World Scout Bureau's Asia-Pacific Support Center, with each NSO's approval to be sought by the Asia-Pacific Support Center once applications are received. Acknowledging Recommendations 18 of the 9th Asia-Pacific Regional Scout Youth Forum, the conference recommends that NSOs are encouraged to nominate members for Asia-Pacific region subcommittees who are under the age of 30 at the time of appointment. 2 members of each of the subcommittee must be under the age of 30 at the time of appointment, proposed by Scouts of China and seconded by Scouts New Zealand. On APR Young Adult Members Group on funding and mentorship. Acknowledging that this resolution originated from the 9th APR Scout Youth Forum. Acknowledging Resolution 3.6 from the 25th Asia-Pacific Regional Scout Conference held in 2015, which stated, the Asia-Pacific Regional Finance Subcommittee to review the funding for the Young Adult Members Group are given the opportunity to fully undertake their responsibilities. Acknowledging that each Young Adult Member Group is expected to fully participate in either the Regional Scout Committee or one of the subcommittees and work streams to ensure that the Young Adult Members Group are given the opportunity to fully undertake the responsibilities we recommend. The APR Financial Resources Subcommittee review the APR Scout Youth Fund Guideline in order to provide sufficient and flexible financial assistance to the members of the APR Young Adult Members Group who will be participating in subcommittee meetings and other related events. The APR Program Subcommittee shall assign a mentor to each of the members of the APR Young Adults Members Group on top of the Young Members Subcommittee Chairman in order to support their development during their term and organize a professional development program for each, proposed by Scout Association of Hong Kong, seconded by Scouts of China. Youth involvement in NSO decision making. The conference encourages all NSOs to include at least 2 young people under the age of 30 as voting members in the decision-making process on their national board. Within the 2018-2021 triennium, 50% or more of the NSOs in the Asia-Pacific region should include at least 2 young people under the age of 30 as voting members in the decision-making process in their national boards. Requests that the APR Scout Committee cause the development of a toolkit and provide support to NSOs to include young people in their national boards. Proposed by Scouts of China, seconded by Scouts Australia. on regional support in developing National Youth Involvement Policy and National Youth Program Policy in its NSO. Acknowledging the Youth Involvement Strategic Priority adopted by WOSOM in 2014, Scouting should give young people the opportunity to develop their skills and knowledge to empower them to take an active part in the movement and in their communities. The conference recommends to the APR Scout Committee to support and urge its NSO to promptly develop and implement their own, first, National Youth Involvement Policy, and second, National Youth Program Policy, proposed by Scout Association of Maldives, seconded by Bhutan Scouts Association. On disaster management and relief, proposed to the APR Scout Committee in collaboration with the World Scout Bureau Asia Pacific Support Center to continue to raise awareness of disaster and risk reduction management across Asia Pacific region by way of conducting disaster management workshops, promote fundraising projects for disaster relief in the Asia Pacific region, and include disaster management awareness in youth program. Proposed by Scout Association of Hong Kong, seconded by Scout Association of Macau. On safe from harm. The conference, acknowledging the progress for action step 3.5 from objective 3 under the young people in the document implementation of APR Plan 2015-2018, requests that the Asia Pacific Regional Scout Committee support the implementation of the WOSOM policy on keeping scouts safe from harm for all national scout organizations. It is requested further to the conference that WOSOM's online learning module on keeping scouts safe from harm be distributed and promoted to all national scout organizations, proposed by Scout Association of Hong Kong, duly seconded by the Scout Association of Macau. On Asia Pacific region, GSAT. The conference, recognizing that the Asia Pacific region is the largest region in the world scouting and is well positioned to demonstrate the best practice in governance, both to its different national scout organizations and other scout regions, recommends that the Asia Pacific Regional Scout Committee to complete an externally facilitated GSAT review, which should cover the following GSAT dimensions: D02 Governance Framework, D04 Integrity Management, and D10 Continuous Improvement. The Asia Pacific Regional Scout Committee to implement all the recommendations of the GSAT review. The Asia Pacific Regional Scout Committee to send a report to all NSOs, the results of the review at the conclusion of the audit, and to present any changes required by this resolution to the next Asia Pacific Regional Scout Conference, proposed by Nepal Scouts, duly seconded by Scouts New Zealand. APR Triennial Plan 2018-2021. Recognizing the valuable work done to develop the draft of the APR Triennial Plan 2018-2021 in growth, everyone counts, particularly the work done to demonstrate the alignment with the WOSOM Triennial Plan 2017-2020, and acknowledging that many useful additional recommendations were raised at the breakout groups on APR Plan 2018-2021 and WOSOM Triennial Plan 2017-2020, particularly the need to include financial management objectives to improve financial stability for NSOs, and improve the KPIs to relate them to objectives outcomes throughout the plan. The conference endorses the draft APR Plan 2018-2021 and approves it in principle, and requests that the APR Scout Committee consider and study the additional recommendations made by the breakout groups, as well as any other additional inputs from NSOs received by 30 November 2018, with a view of incorporating them in the APR Plan 2018-2021, proposed by Scouts Australia and duly seconded by Persekutuan Pengakap Malaysia. On the APR Plan alignment with WOSOM, the conference recommends that the APR Scout Committee directly align the action steps of the APR Plan 2018-2021 to meet the strategic priorities of the WOSOM Triennial Plan 2017-2020. Recommends that the APR Scout Committee ensures that the KPIs set in the final version of the APR Plan 2018-2021 are well aligned to meet the KPIs set by the WOSOM in order to achieve the objectives of the World Triennial Plan 2017-2020. Recommends that the next Regional Triennial Plan 2021-2024 is fully aligned with the upcoming World Triennial Plan 2020-2023 in order to achieve WOSOM Vision 2023, proposed by Scouts of China, duly seconded by Kiribati Scout Association. Conflict of interest policy. The conference recommends that as part of the good governance model, the Asia-Pacific region should develop and implement a conflict of interest policy for the 2018-2021 triennium, proposed by Singapore Scouts Association and duly seconded by Scout Association of Maldives. On proposed amendments to the APR Constitution, particularly Article 7, Chapter 4, the conference, recognizing the fundamental importance in terms of achieving the purpose of the Scout movement of involving young people in decision-making, considering that Scouting is not only a movement for young people, but also a movement of young people, believing that Scouting is a movement based on democratic principles, recognizing the value to the individuals concerned and to the movement as a whole of leadership opportunities for young members, acknowledging Resolution 293 from the 33rd World Scout Conference in Thailand, strongly urging NSOs to involve young people in decision-making at all levels. Noting Resolution 914 from the 40th World Scout Conference in Slovenia, stating in part, the value of involving and including young people in decision-making for achieving the purpose of Scouting. Approved the adoption of the World Scout Youth Involvement Policy, which specified that by involving young people in decision-making process in Scouting, we are not only fulfilling our mission and respecting the Scout method, but are also supporting both young people and adults to reach their full capacities and engage in constructive dialogue in order to contribute to the dynamism and democratic character of their organizations. It is very important that young people's involvement in decision-making at institutional level, NSO and WOSOM, is meaningful and transparent, which relies on developing effective working relationships between adults and young people. Accepting that Resolution 3.1 from the 8th Asia-Pacific Regional Youth Forum to the 25th Asia-Pacific Regional Scout Conference in Korea, requested the APR Scout Committee consider and take appropriate action to the recommendation that the Asia-Pacific region must more actively engage young people in decision-making positions endorsed. To add one additional position on the YAMG for the role of Vice Chair, increasing the overall membership to 7. Include this additional YAMG appointment on the Regional Scout Committee, increasing the overall membership of the YAMG members on the Asia-Pacific Regional Committee to 2. Hence, the conference proposes to amend Article 8, Chapter 4 of the APR Constitution and Bylaws to read as follows. The committee shall consist of 10 persons, one of whom will be an adult member under the age of 30 years at the time of first appointment, excluding the chairman of the young adult members group from member organizations in the region, who shall be elected by the conference by secret ballot for them for a term of up to 6 years. It's proposed by Scouts Australia, duly seconded by Scouts New Zealand. On seeking support of policy makers for the Scout movement in all countries, the conference supporting membership growth and the development of inclusive Scouting encouraged the World Organization of the Scout movement to send letters to presidents, governments, and parliament of countries to seek their support for Scouting. It's proposed by Myanmar Scout and duly seconded by the Singapore Scout Association. On NSO Global Support Assessment Tools, acknowledging that this recommendation originated from the 9th APR Scout Youth Forum, the conference recommends to the APR Scout Committee to encourage all NSOs to complete the self-assessment of the Global Support Assessment Tool. Encourage a minimum of 8 NSOs to audit the organizations with the Global Support Assessment Tool within the 2018-2021 triennium, and support these NSOs to develop and implement an action plan following the audit. Proposed by Scout Association of Maldives, duly seconded by Pasikatuan Pengakap, Malaysia. On diversity and inclusion, Committee Diversity. acknowledging Resolution 915 of the 25th APR Scout Conference, which stated, recognizing the significant importance of gender equity towards growth of Scouting, all member NSOs open to boys and girls are strongly encouraged to take deliberate action to ensure nominations of women alongside men for the APR Task Forces Subcommittees and Regional Scout Committee. The conference acknowledges that many of the elected committees do not reflect gender diversity. As such, the conference seeks to re-emphasize to those member NSOs to take deliberate action to ensure nominations of women alongside men for the APR Adult Members Group, APR Task Forces, Subcommittees, and the Regional Scout Committee, proposed by Bangladesh Scouts, duly seconded by Fiji Scout Association. On diversity and inclusion. To promote diversity and inclusion, the Regional Scout Committee shall consider the establishment of a task force to support NSOs to celebrate diversity and become more inclusive. A specific focus should consider gender equality at national and regional levels. Proposed by Scouts of China, duly seconded by Persekutuan Pangakap Malaysia. On strengthening diversity and inclusion in NSOs, reaffirming the WOSOM policy on diversity and inclusion, the Global Dialogue for Peace program should be instituted by every NSO. Each NSO is further encouraged to have at least 2 or 3 trained facilitators for Dialogue for Peace. Proposed by Korea Scout Association, duly seconded by Scout Association of Japan. On program, Sustainable Development Goals Program. The Asia Pacific Regional Scout Youth Forum requests that the Regional Scout Committee and the Youth Program Subcommittee encourage each NSO to recognize the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by means of reviewing the current National Youth Program, incorporating the SDGs elements into the program, and intensifying efforts made from the Better World Framework. Implementing new program policies in relation to SDGs. Motivating Scout members to take the initiative to organize projects related to SDGs. Working on enhancing relationships with related organizations such as the United Nations. Improving the available resources currently distributed to NSOs in relation to SDGs. Conducting a series of workshops and or webinars to raise the awareness of SDGs. The theme of each session should change each time it is run to encompass all SDGs. The APR Scout Committee, in partnership with the World Scout Bureau Asia Pacific Support Center, should jointly initiate, support, and oversee the implementation of programs in achieving the SDGs in every NSO of the Asia Pacific region. This should be implemented by the second quarter of 2019. Proposed by Persekutuan Pangakap Malaysia, duly seconded by Nepal Scouts. Adults in Scouting. On WOSOM potential member support from the APR Scout Committee. The conference recommends that the APR Scout Committee, with the assistance of the World Scout Bureau Asia Pacific Support Center, support 2 National Scout Associations of the Council of South Pacific Scout Associations to become full members of the WOSOM, and a progress report be submitted in July 2020 CSPSA Forum in Fiji. Proposed by Fiji Scout Association, duly seconded by Kiribati Scout Association. On growth, adults in Scouting and growth. The Asia Pacific Regional Scout Committee facilitates and support NSOs adult training through e-learning. Provide guidance to NSOs to design attractive and needed youth programs according to a specific context of each NSO. Provide a clear framework of supporting NSO's growth and strategy. Proposed by Cambodia Scouts, duly seconded by Scouts of China. Thank you very much.
Okay, all the resolution one by one has been flashed on the screen. So now the floor is open for discussion. Please raise your hand if you have any proposal for amendment. Okay, please be advised that ignore the typo or the grammatical error, because the committee on style will look into it for finalization. Okay, now it's open. One by one. Really?
Good morning, conference. It's nice to see these rare opportunities for us to bridge all the gaps of the great minds of the hard works of the World Scout and the APR, and what brings us here. This is our platform, and the resolutions would be more meaningful if what's all the programs now being given by the UN under the preview of the WOSM and can continuously reach with the decision makers and the policy makers in the country. Because there is a missing link between the WOSM, the APR, and the state of decision making. We are talking about the decision making for the young people, but when it comes to the policy makers in the country, it would be good, and if we can suggest in the resolution, active participation from the World Conference, World Bureau Scouts and the APR to the leaders of and the countries of the NSO, whom decision making is done in the policy directives for the implementation of the projects. There are many good platforms like SDG, and bottom of the pyramids is all within the capacity of the conferences at international level with the economic forums whatsoever. And there's a connection. The Scout is trying to link this capacity. Like in the Asian context, ASEAN, we already have the environmental programs within the flagships of the Asian community. And with the enhancements of the program, environmental protection and the degradation, it will be more meaningful. And a lot of good examples like Thailand, and recently some in India, making the mangrove conservation. This is a small project that can be done and can be linked. And another point for me to make this suggestion is that there is difficulties linking the resources where Scouts on the school base and the community base are not connected together. In terms of the school base, the support sometimes it would be very difficult if the ministers doesn't understand all the concept regarding the curriculums for the education program. Scouting might have some programs, and education, formal education might have some programs. If they can be connected together, would be excellent. And also, the Ministry of Youth and Sports in many countries can be linking together, where the pools of the support for the program are not connected. Sometimes when there is an international youth program, the Scout is left behind. And there are opportunities to give the bridges. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will present each of the resolutions for adoption. and we can adopt by applause, or if there are any contentious issue, we can put the recommendations to a vote. You have your papers ready, and we may request the presence of the tellers in front in case we are putting any recommendation to a vote. So, 2 on recommendations, resolutions 2/18. Any motion to adopt or any clarification on the proposed resolution? Yeah, the first one. Yeah, the 2/18. Any motion for adoption? Is proposed by Scouts of China, duly seconded by Boy Scouts of the Philippines.
Okay.
So, can you raise your card? The green one. If you, so, those who agree or support the resolution, please raise the green one. Do we have the tellers present? So it seems that majority agree and support the resolutions. The proposed resolution is carried. On 3/18, APR Young Adult Leadership Training Course. Please raise your green card if you agree and support the proposed resolution. Majority affirmed the resolution, so it is carried. (4/18), Subcommittee under 30. Those who support the resolution, please raise the green card for adoption. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, the tellers. How many? Yep. The green is that they support and affirm the proposed resolutions for adoption. Any question or clarification? Yeah, before, okay. Yeah, I recognize the delegate from Japan.
We should go for amendments first, and then for the clarification and discussion, and then for the voting. But it seems that we are going to the voting all of a sudden. Is that correct?
Yeah, but so any brief discussion on the resolution before we vote.
Yeah, so amendment first, right, for the resolution.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. So could you please ask amendments first, and then we can do the discussion and put into the vote.
Any amendment? Or we can return to the 2/8 because we have already approved that. So, any amendment proposal?
To see the reality, it is a little difficult to make at least 40% of subcommittee nominees from each NOCs. So it should be aligned with the WOSM. This comes to at least 30% of the subcommittee nominees. This is the proposal for the amendment. Thank you.
Here, from New Zealand.
That's noted. That's India. Yeah, India.
See, we fully support the inclusion of young people. but the committees or scrutiny making bodies should bring this 40% on all the committees, then select youth, giving due representation to each NSO. For last 5 conferences, if you go to the subcommittees, you will find some NSOs are heavily loaded and some NSOs totally neglected. So when you say 40%, it should be a 40% of the whole committee and providing opportunity to each NSO. That should be the responsibility of the screening committee. Though it cannot be put as part of a resolution, it has to be adopted as consensus.
New Zealand.
Hello. I'd just like to take the opportunity to acknowledge the concerns around the 40% subcommittee criteria, but draw the conference's attention to the fact that that's simply a quote from the recommendation of the youth involvement. What was it? It was the APR Youth Involvement Workshop held in Australia earlier this year. The substance of the recommendation is the final paragraph, which simply recommends that 2 members of each subcommittee must be under the age of 30, not 40% of the committee. I hope that clarifies things.
Any motion to adopt the amendment? That it is not, not 40%, but the 2 must be under the age of 30. These are the recommendations at the end, that NSOs are encouraged to nominate members of the APR subcommittee who are under the age of 30 at the time of appointment, and 2 members of each of the subcommittee must be under the age of 30 at the time of appointment. So, any motion to adopt? Any second? These 2 are the recommendations for the APR Scout Committee. So, New Zealand move for the adoption. Any second? Yeah, the Philippines duly seconded the motion. So, we can now vote for the adoption of the proposed resolution. Please raise the green card if you affirm the proposed resolutions. Tellers, please. Those who do not support the proposed resolution, please raise the red card. This carried. Proposed resolution 518. Any amendment or clarification from the proponent? Any amendments? Yes, New Zealand.
Thank you. We would simply like to propose an amendment to the end of point 1, that the words be added to be completed by the end of 2019. Thank you.
Noted. Any more amendment? Can we vote on the amendment? Any motion? Second? It's duly seconded. So we now continue with the vote on the adoption. Please raise green card if you support the proposed resolution, including the amendment made by New Zealand. Those who are not in favor of the, please raise the red card. So majority votes, this resolution is carried. (6/18) Youth involvement in NSO decision making. Any amendment? So let us vote. Any amendment?
Part 2. Why 50% of NSOs? Why don't 100% of NSOs? Who are the 50% don't want to include the youth in this forum? There should be no one. So there should be no 50% of NSOs to include youth delegation. It should be 100%. Because you cannot leave out anybody. We are speaking of diversity and inclusion, and we are leaving away 50% of the people. So the conference should recommend each NSO should look to have at least the recommendation implemented in their NSOs. Otherwise, in next triennium also we will not find any youth in their NSOs. On one side, we are resolving to support financially and mentoring youth from the Asia Pacific level to support the NSOs, bring young people to APR. And those NSOs, if they don't provide an opportunity to young people in their forums to grow, there will be no mentoring. So let us say this 50% should be dropped. Because we have successfully implemented in a big NSO, so we can speak for it and we can see that our youth delegates are representing our NSO in last few forums vibrantly.
May we ask the proponent to make a clarification on that before we vote on the amendment? Scouts of China.
May I request?
Are we putting the amendment to a vote? Okay, thank you.
May I request our Indian representative to rephrase the amendment, please? What's the amendment? Proposal amendment.
100%.
The Asia Pacific region should include at least 2 young people under the age of 30 as voting members in their decision making bodies. 50% of more of the has to be deleted so that everybody will try their best. In 3 years they will bring 2 young people. That means they don't even try to bring 1 young man in 1 year or 1 young girl in 1 year. 3 years and 2 people.
Yeah. The amendment proposing to delete the 50%. It should be replaced by all of the NSOs in the Asia Pacific region. Yeah, all NSOs. But Some of our NSOs already having 3 or more young people there in the National Executive Board, for example. But we are putting all instead of the 50 or percent or more. Any reaction to that? Ayun, Japan.
Well, if we see the reality, we have administrate the NSOs by our bylaws. Then in order to realize this, some of the NSOs must actually amend their bylaws first. It takes time. So if we see the reality, we say just within the 2018 to 2021 triennium, 50% or more of NSOs in the Asia Pacific region. This would be, it is quite reality. You know, we have to amend our NSO's bylaws, and it takes time. So this is the first too realistic. So you know that it takes a little more time. So I would say maybe next the period of time we should make the 100%. But this 3 years, maybe 50% would, and more would be suitable, adequate, I think.
There is a proposed amendment to retain the proposed resolution. India.
This is reference to the Japanese interpretation. Yes, we do need that we have to amend the bylaws. Amending bylaws is mandatory, but nothing prevents us in the absence of any bylaw to nominate. There is no provision which prohibits. What you are trying to introduce in the bylaw is to have more. But nevertheless, apart from the mandatory provision in the bylaws, nothing prevents us to have more than 2 or 3, as our representative said, 100%.
Is that a second to the motion of the Scouts of Japan?
No.
To retain the...
No, to have 100%.
To have 100%.
Yeah.
So, can we vote on that? The amendments? Yes, from Thailand.
I'm from Thailand, and this proposal 618 for the youth member to be in the board, national board, executive. Our culture in Asia are different. So our Singapore, Japan, I think are the same. By law in Thailand, we require minimum the age. But I believe that in the future we have to change, but we cannot do it right away. Adults will support the youth and the young people always, but we have to change the law first. So I cannot go back and tell my committee board member that this is proposal and we have to follow. You see what I mean? I'll be outwarded. Okay? Understand?
We have to vote on the amendment. Those who support the amendment proposed by... Sorry, brother.
This is from Bangladesh. We accept that 2 young people should be in the board, but whether can we be more specific that one should be a girl, young girl? Thank you.
Can we put to vote the
I believe,
the
we
first
have-
amendment? Huh?
I believe we appreciate the young leaders in their youth forum electing all the male members, but I think we believe we need women. So please, when you say two members, two young members, you should be more specific of saying
One of whom, of whom shall be a
one
woman.
should be a girl.
I think that's
That's the
it's a
essence we
second
understand.
amendment. We have to
understand
vote first
that's the
on
essence,
whether
but
it is 100%
if it would be more specific.
or the original amendment. Can any Mamari? Yeah. So we have to resolve amendment number 1
Yeah,
first.
I think we have to go amendments one by one.
yeah.
First, we finish with 100%, and then we can move next.
So amendment number 1, the
I think we should consider the concerns of few NSOs. Why don't we amend in this way? Within the 2018-2021 triennium, all NSOs in Asia Pacific region will make suitable amendments in their bylaws and the rest as it is. Whether it is acceptable to those friends, those who are facing problem to amend their rules, why don't we recommend that they go with this? That is, within the 2018-2021 triennium, all NSOs in the Asia Pacific region make amendments to their rules, bylaws to include at least. That means then the concern is over. Otherwise, I am telling you that after 10 conference also, there will be 1 or 2 NSOs facing the problems to amendment their bylaws and rules, because it is a concern, because their NSOs, their councils, they have a difference of opinion with the conference. So let's leave the platform to their NSOs and their councils.
okay, that is the replacement to your original amendment proposal. So we have to vote on that first. Those who support that amendment, yes.
Thank you.
And Malcolm, second. Okay.
I'm also raising the point of order. I'm not supporting. It says that since the 618Q within 2018-21 triennium of this 50% or more, then I am also personally not against. But the problem rises from here that the resolution would not have an overriding effect on the bylaws of Pakistan, because the bylaws of the Pakistan are not only man-made, but they have been rectified through an ordinance by the President of the Pakistan, and that goes to the National Assembly. All such bylaws which we are doing the scouting, you know, that as I have said, these resolutions are honored by the scouts only, maybe not by the authorities sitting in Pakistan. So let this go at this time till 2018 and 21, that whatever the resolution has been passed by the Scouts of China and seconded by the Scouts of Australia without any amendment, and then there may be another clause in this amendment that within this triennium such amendments may be made, or efforts may be made to make such amendments in their bylaws first, and thereafter there may not be 2, but there may be 5 people under the age of 30 for the voting. I will have no objection personally. My countrymen would have no objection on that. But for the time being, this may be this resolution may be carried without any amendment, with another clause that within this triennium the NSOs may go back to their countries and have their amendments accordingly.
Yeah. Sir Malcolm. Then after that, we can go back to the amendment made by
I'm only an observer at this conference, but I think I have to raise a point of order. Our friend from Pakistan is quite correct, and I think Khun Pansak is quite correct. whatever we decide here will have zero effect on the NSO if the law prohibits the appointment of someone under a particular age. I do international law as well, and I know for a fact that in some countries, for certain boards, you have a minimum age. Whatever we say here will not affect that NSO, because if they attempt to amend their constitution that is in breach of their law, the NSO will be dissolved. Full stop. So all we can do, my view, is simply to encourage all NSOs to review their constitutional arrangements, to discuss if their national governments to encourage the inclusion of young persons under the age of 30 in their national boards. If you cannot do that, then perhaps consider something else, perhaps in the Commissioners' Council rather and not the national board. Right. That's the only way we can do it. Thank you. 10 minutes break. I personally support the inclusion of more young people, but we need to respect the laws of each individual country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you from Malcolm. As a presiding officer, I will call for a 10 minutes break. So we will resume the discussion after this.